shoot. Pullback, step back three. Bottom!
The handoff. Jones for the tie. Oh, he's fouled! And one! He's still loose. Doherty the heave. Oh, my God!
Southern Utah is going to do something they've never done. Go to the NCAA tournament.
What's up, everybody? Whack Wednesday. It's Wednesday afternoon. Third episode that I have recorded today of the Straight Outta Whack podcast. That means I'm a pretty versatile guy. As you heard from one of the previous podcast episodes, I'm playing old man slow pitch softball tonight. Oh, we got our league tournament. I'm excited. We'll see what happens. But off of GCU, we're now back to the California Baptist women's basketball team in our third week of our team previews. As you read yesterday on Whack Hoops Nation, I wrote an article up about the success that the Lady Lancers have had. I don't even know if Lady Lancers is a correct term. We'll have to ask our guest, who is jumping on right now, Jarrod Olson, head coach of the CBU Lancers. Is that a correct term, Lady Lancers, or do we leave the lady out of it?
I can go either way on that, Kyle. I think everyone really wants to know, what position do you play on the softball team?
So I usually pitch, but I can't pitch strike. So we have a little mat that you have to hit to get a strike called, and I struggle. And when it comes tournament time, teams like to walk, so we don't want to walk too many.
Yeah.
So it's either catcher, first base, or I'm the extra hitter. So back in my heyday, I was playing the outfield. I was roaming the outfield, but that was 21 years ago or so, and we don't talk about those days.
That's all I talk about is those days.
Hey, I got married. It'll be 10 years in May this next year. We just celebrated our 9th. And
Congratulations.
I was like 200 pounds when we got married. So you can see my wife's a pretty good cook from what I look like now. But good time. So, Jarrod, welcome to the podcast. I feel like when was the last time we talked was after that WAC tournament championship game, wasn't it?
I really don't remember. I mean, I feel like I see you quite a bit, whether it's at games or just kind of on random things. And I do follow you guys a little bit. So I guess it doesn't feel that long to me, but you're probably right.
Well, after that WAC tournament championship, you guys went on to win the women's CBI, and you got to face a familiar foe in the title game. How was that for you?
Everything about that tournament seemed a little bit awkward. So it was no surprise that we ended up playing them in the final. I don't think either team wanted to see the other, but it's just kind of how things ended up. It's the hand we were dealt, and we ended up playing it pretty well, and we're able to win. So, basically the moral of the story was it was better to win that game than to lose that game. So I felt pretty good about it when it was all over. Well,
and you had to have some heroics from Brittany Clayman the night before you played New Mexico State. So I don't know.
That was pretty exciting, actually. That was probably that when Brittany basically hit a game winner in the semifinal game. And I really think that was, for me, that was the highlight of the season. That getting all the way to Kentucky to play in that tournament, wasn't the easiest thing. It was, honestly, it was a little disappointing because we kind of, we were hoping to win in the WAC tournament final to go to the NCAAs, but just wasn't meant to be. But when seeing Brittany and coaching her I think I coached her for 3 years, just seeing her kind of make that play and the confidence she had, that made the season worth it to me. That was a great moment, and it was about as proud as I've been of a player in a long time.
There's still a clip that I use sometimes in the highlights of her taking a pass from Monte Leda. I believe it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And she gets knocked down, but she still knocks down the three, and you see her I think she holds up to 3 fingers, and looks kind of like she had a big grin on her face. Was that kind of what it was when she hit that shot in the CBI semifinals?
I think it was. Well, first of all, if you go on her Instagram, I'm pretty confident that'll still be up there. That little clip you're talking about. I don't know. It just was one of those things where I felt like I really connected with her over the last couple of years, and she'd had some kind of ups and downs, and I just felt like there's times as a coach when you can really you really feel like you and you know a team or a certain player are just like on the exact same page, and I could just really feel that with her. And at the same time, like I felt like she had gone most of the season kind of waiting for that moment, where it was that signature play, because she, like you said, she'd had one, but it had been a couple years, and just kind of like seeing her, just it was something. Also, I mean, I should have mentioned this. She spent a lot of time like working on that play that she made. It was kind of like a little like old man slow drive, little up and under shot fake, something like Kyle, you're probably doing, 20 years of your, post basketball career or something like
There it is. I love it. I love
yeah,
it.
it was a very old man kind of move, but it was something. I mean, she's not the quickest player, but she is long. And so we had spent some time, between Brittany, one of my assistants, and Camille and Angie, like just spending time with her, kind of like working on that, and then just seeing it kind of like actually happen in the moment. I just thought it was amazing. I just loved it. I was so happy for her. I actually, I don't know if you could see it, but like she makes the shot, and it's like there's the other team calls timeout, and we just like gave like a big hug. It was like the game was over, but it wasn't, but it just kind of,
Yeah.
it was just one of those moments. It was very, very organic, and it was pretty cool.
I'm gonna find the clip, so I'm gonna play it on this podcast episode, and let the fans decide what they think. That old man up and under move that we're making a comparison here. So I'm
Yeah,
just gonna, we'll see what they think. So everybody
yeah.
comment after you see the clip, and we'll go from there. So
Okay.
Daryl, I saw you come off mute.
Yeah. Jarrod, speaking of Brittany Clayman, she is now the director of basketball ops at Long Beach State, who will be visiting in week 2 of this season. How excited were you to see that she decided to go the coaching route after her playing days were done?
Well, I was really excited. I mean, I wasn't surprised. I mean, you could see that coming a mile away from her. Obviously, a little disappointed we couldn't get her to stay at CBU, but maybe somewhere down the road. But yeah, I'm just really happy for her. She got a really good opportunity there, and I think she's going to do great.
Jarrod, I want to ask you. I wrote that article yesterday, and just I know you'll mention the players. I think we've talked about that a few times whenever you're on this podcast or we talk in a post game or something that you give it all. But just the culture since you took over, just continuing to win. I mean, and I don't mean to put any pressure on you going into 2023-24, but I don't think you've had a losing season, maybe one, if I remember right, since you've taken over. Like, how do you do it year in and year out to continue winning and the success you've had in the last 3 years, 4 years, I should since joining the WAC?
Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, we've had really good players, and I think that is the biggest thing, right? But there's a lot of teams that have great players, so I think that just getting and not only have to be talented, but they have to be the kind of people that are going to be on board with what we're trying to do as a team. And I think the biggest thing that's kind of like the biggest consistency for us has been just our team values. And I know this sounds very coach speak, very corny, which you guys know me, like I try not to do too much of the corny coach speak. But I do think that this is something that I do really believe strongly in. I mean, we spend a lot of time just talking about like who we want to be as a team and as people. Our values are commitment, humility, resiliency, integrity, selflessness, and trust. We did it on yesterday. We did a big exercise on trust, with our team. Last week we did a bunch of stuff on commitment. So this is something we're spending a lot of time on, and I do think that kind of helps build the culture piece and kind of make it feel a little bit bigger than just your run of the mill basketball team. I mean, it is about basketball at the end of the day, but at the same time, like I feel like we can do a great job of like building a culture and instilling some values in them and what we stand for as human beings. And I think that has been the biggest element of our success. If I was to point to one thing other than the players I would still say is number one though.
How challenging is that to keep that? I guess now let's go from the COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
Now that things are kind of ramped up with NIL, with transfer portal, with all of that, to keep that culture going, and get players that buy into that when they come on, because obviously there's a roster turnover every year now.
Yeah.
It's not changing. But how do you keep that consistency going? Because that's got to be a challenge in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is a challenge, right? I mean, and nobody likes to see players, leave, that, and we want people to stay. But I do think that the one thing that has provided us is, like, this is who CBU women's basketball is. It's, it's a very cliche again. Gosh, I feel like I've done this twice now, but it's really about the name on the front of the jersey as opposed to the one on the back kind of
Right.
situation, and it's like, all right, and it may not be for everybody, right? And maybe there's some people that come here and play who are great players that maybe they just feel like it's not a great fit for them, and that's okay. That it's a good chance maybe they'll do great things other places, but I do think that it definitely is how we're going to play here, and we try to do a good job of just letting people know that this is what we stand for when we're recruiting them. So then when they get here, they know what they're getting themselves into. But I do think that people that are, I think that has been the biggest element of our success, other than the players, just that uniformity, and that that kind of like binds us together. And I think that's what makes a team a team.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Jarrod, you kind of mentioned the portal and some roster turnover this offseason being a fact of life in college basketball. You guys lost 4 starters from last year, and then had a number of portal entries too. Talk about the blend of experienced returners and newcomers that your group will have, because you'll have that, almost a 50-50 blend based on your returners and what you picked up through the portal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 50-50 blend is going to be kind of just how it is going forward. Um, I think everybody kind of likes to overreact because it's very exciting and things happen a little bit faster in transfer season than it does in the high school signing season. But I think that's just kind of a fact of life. But I do think that, that's another good reason to have something that you stand for as a team, because if you're constantly going to be having new players, it's going to help kind of like unify people if there's a common purpose and a common goal that is bigger than just the game itself. And that's what we're striving to do here at CBU.
And I got a fan question off of
Yeah.
Twitter about your philosophy, portal versus high school recruiting, because you're one of the few WAC programs that still seems to go after those high school freshmen in the hopes that you'll get them and they'll stay and develop. Just talk about that aspect of recruiting, the whole high school, senior versus the kid that's been going into the portal.
I mean, it's just completely different. It's like two completely different skills, basically, and there's not a lot of transference between the two, pun intended. Um, I mean, I think we continue to do it just because I think we're pretty good at developing players. I think our track record shows that. We've had players that have come here. Ani Olaida is a good example. I mean, we're talking like we signed her as a Division II player. She was WAC Player of the Year. She led the country in assists. We've had players come here and then move on to Power 5 schools. So like I know we can develop people. I mean, the one I just referenced, Caitlin Harper, she had one other Division I offer besides us. She's playing in the Big Ten as a starter. And I know that there's a downside to that she's not on our team anymore. But I think that definitely speaks to how we can identify talent and develop them. So I feel like that's a strength of ours, and so we have to continue to do that. And I do think over the course of time that'll work out for us. Like maybe in certain cases recently it hasn't as much as we'd like, but I mean, I do think there's definitely definitely a place for that. Also, I think that like CBU probably is. I mean, we've gotten some good transfers in here, so I mean, we're going to try to do a little bit blend of both. It's not like we're just going one or the other, but I definitely think we'll continue to develop players because I think that's something we're good at. We'll stick to our strengths, Daryl. I guess that's probably the simple answer.
Well, you mentioned that, some of the players that you've had that you've developed, and you get Grace Schmidt back for another year too. I mean, she had a really good freshman year, first year,
Yeah.
At CBU. What are you kind of expecting from her in year two?
Well, I think she's poised to have a great season. She, like you said, she was probably our best player last year, and at least our most consistent one. And just having her come back, usually there's a big jump between your freshman and your sophomore year. And I would expect nothing less for her than just to have a chance to be like a first team all conference player. Hopefully she'll be in the conversation for player of the year. It's up to us and her teammates to kind of put her in good positions. But, she's worked really hard this offseason, and I'm really excited that she's back. And I think she's got great things in front of her. I'm just happy to be her coach.
Yeah, I bet you are. And, she seems like she's really excited for the season from what I've seen.
Yeah.
I want to, before Daryl gets into your non-conference schedule and stuff, I want to ask, WAC play begins in, I believe it's December. Is that December? No, November 28th, December 6th.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
First off, do you like that you get both Southern Utah and Utah Tech that early on the road? And then second, do you like that it's almost a week apart between the two games?
Well, in the defense of the WAC, and I'm just going to throw it at Drew, because Drew's probably the guy who does the schedule, or whoever, the Kevin Powell guy, whoever. We were supposed to play Southern Utah at home, but we had a facility issue, so we had to play at their place. So in hindsight, if we had known that, it would have been good to kind of pair those two up because they're close together, right? But yeah, we'll be making the same trip back-to-back weeks. Southern Utah won the league last year, and I think anybody that knows anything about our league and basketball will take Utah Tech as one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league, if not the best team in the league coming into next year. So I think we'll definitely find out where we are right at the beginning.
Do you like that you have that split in between those two games and like a month split before you get back to conference play, or would you rather just have it all bunched together?
I would rather have it all bunched together, but I don't think it's anything to get too upset about. The schedule is going to be the schedule. It's nice we're playing everybody twice, which I think is a big deal. And so I guess I'll just be thankful for that. The WAC there's a lot of challenges in the WAC, that have nothing to do with the tough teams, in terms of like geography and that sort of stuff. So we just got to make the best of it. And I think we'll be ready for that.
Yeah, Jarrod, taking a look at that non-conference schedule, man, it's loaded. 4 WNIT teams from a year ago and a NCAA tournament team in Portland. Although it lacks the Power 5 opportunities that you guys have had the last couple of years, it's still a really, really solid schedule. Just talk about that non-conference schedule and just how quickly you guys will know where you're at, just because, you open with UCSD on the road, San Diego State on the road that first week, and then Long Beach comes, and then UTEP for the WAC CUSA deal in those first 2 weeks.
Well, I think that we're going to find out pretty quick. That's kind of why we scheduled the way we did. We try to schedule as many like 50-50 games or 60-40 games, depending on, how it looks, based on opponent. But we're trying to play teams that we're going to have a chance to beat, but also going to have a chance to beat us, because that's going to how we're going to get better. I feel like you learn a lot more from losing than you do by winning by 30 points against a team that's not on the same level as you. And so we're going to try to challenge ourselves. It'll happen early. It wouldn't be uncommon if we, struggled at times in the non-conference, but I really believe that that's only going to make us better when it comes time for the WAC. And so that's why we want to play those teams, and I know there's not the fancy Power 5 name everybody likes to talk about them playing some Power 5, but we played TCU 2 years ago, beat them by 25 points. And I'm telling you, like, Portland on our schedule this year is better than probably at least half of the Power 5s. And side note, Daryl, who are the Power 5s anyway? It's really like a Power 4. Come on, man. You're the journalist. Let's get together.
Oh, it might be the Power 3 at some point here.
It could be a Power 2, something like that.
Oh, my goodness. It's crazy. I got to ask you, did you ever see the day when Cal and Stanford would be talked about as joining the Atlantic Coast Conference?
It's insane. It really is insane. I think that we have lost our way, and I don't think there's any turning back. It's just it's really a shame that, I know money is what drives everything, right? But it just seems so obvious that football should have split from the rest of the sports.
Yep.
And it's just a shame that the people in charge can't just stand up and just make a stand on that and just say, hey, football is going to be its own deal. And yeah, football wants to fly across country for 4 games a year. That's not as big a deal than having to play like 12 basketball games across the country. Um, and it's just really disappointing that the people in charge um, won't just stand up and make that happen, because they could make it happen if they really wanted to.
Yeah. That is a great thought. I don't even have to delve into mine because that was like similar to what I
Yeah.
have. Like
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Jarrod, I want to ask you, and I ask every coach this now. People kind of wonder why I do, but hey, you know what? We're trying to get to know coaches here. Late night snack when you have to stop at maybe gas station or you stop at the gas station to fill up. What's your kind of go to?
Ooh, I don't hardly ever. I would be the one that would probably look for something healthy. But if I had to go kind of like guilty pleasure or something, I definitely would go, if there's like a donut that looks halfway decent, I'd be going for that, no question. Yeah, I'm not above eating sweets, but um, yeah, I'd probably go some sort of health bar or something like that. But if it was going to be sweets, I'd definitely a donut or ice cream person.
Well,
If you could
okay,
mix the two, that's even better.
I think they do have a donut ice cream. I think I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
that somewhere.
There's some by our place, Daryl.
Nice. What's your favorite kind of ice cream then?
I would just go something simple like a Butterfinger Blizzard. I could probably have that about every day.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. Daryl, you got any more questions for Jarrod here?
Yeah, Jared, looking at those returners you feature, Kinsley Barrington, Nene Calhoun, Chloe Webb among the group. Who do you expect to have a breakout year from that group of returners, outside of Grace Schmidt? And maybe talk about the newcomers you've acquired in the offseason. I know you picked up a couple with Division One
Yeah.
prior experience, including Emily Sewell from Portland.
Yeah, I mean, Emily's off to a good start. I mean, we started doing workouts last week, so we're about, 5 or 6 days in. I think, with the returners, you mentioned Kinsley and, Nay and Chloe Webb, like those guys I would expect to, just like we talked about with Grace having, coming back for another year. Like I think anytime someone's back for a second season, there's always a good chance for a big jump in improvement just because they're a little bit more comfortable. They have a better understanding of what I'm asking them to do, and I have a better understanding of what they're capable of doing. So I'll do a better job coaching each one of those guys this year. Which, I mean, I know they're probably all looking forward to me doing a better job. And then the new people like Anaya Tua from CSUN, I would expect some pretty good things from her. She's looked really good early on. And then we've got some, Felipa Barros has been playing in the European Championships, and then we got a new girl named Nook Bosch who's from Wichita State who's also playing in the European Championships. They'll be here, both of them later this week, and got a good freshman class. So I'm pretty excited. I mean, so far I feel like we're off to a really good start. People are really into it. There's a great mojo and a good energy in the gym, so that's always a good thing in August. And if we can keep that up, I think there's big things ahead for the Lancers.
You like the mojo in August. I like it.
Yeah.
And then the last question I have is your reaction to the news that Star Jacobs hit the transfer portal just 48 hours ago, basically.
That's
You're
a
asking me
great
about
question.
Star Jacobs,
That's
but
a
you're not.
great question for you, Jarrod. Yes, I like
You're,
that question.
yeah, you're asking me about Star Jacobs, but not Trinity. That's kind of interesting. I don't know. I mean, I just think this thing is just what it is. I mean, I would expect that she probably has um, a new team pretty quickly. I'll leave it at that.
So you brought her up. So let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way. You're gonna face Trinity San Antonio twice. You recruited her to CBU. You had her for 2 years. She leaves for GCU. How do you feel about coaching against her?
Well, I think it'll be very interesting. We did it last year with we were supposed to do it with Sydney Palma. Unfortunately, she was injured. But like I said, I think it's just kind of the new normal. I think there's going to be a lot of, and there probably already has been. Maybe I should talk to somebody that's probably been through that a little bit more, just some awkwardness, right? But I mean, like,
Sure.
I think at the end of the day, like, I hope as adults we can model good behavior and not make things weird.
Yeah.
Like I know that there's probably some, some emotions that'll probably go into that. But for us, I mean, for me, like it should just be a regular game. I mean, we're going to be playing GCU, who should be, probably the preseason pick to win the league. Like that's going to be a really good team, whether she's on it or not. And, so we're going to have our hands full. And I don't think adding layers of emotions or hurt feelings or anything is really going to help that. So, she's a great player. She did really well for us for 2 years. And yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. She's on a different team now, and we'll see her a couple times a year, but that has nothing really to do with CBU basketball at this point. So I think for us, it's just, hey, we're really excited to coach the players we do have that do want to be here. And, that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we have a good team. And it's not about like individuals, it's about the team. And hopefully we'll be up to the challenge and have a great season.
Hey, you brought her up, so I just had to throw out the question. I'm just saying.
Just try to make your guys' lives a little bit easier.
My last question here. Are you disappointed that there's not going to be any double headers this year, or like you guys playing on a Wednesday night, the men playing on a Thursday night, so you can join Braden on the broadcast for a men's game?
I mean, what we should do is just go to the Division II route where we played the game before the men's game, and then I would just stay after the game and do it. But I really appreciate Braden giving me a chance to get some reps on that as a broadcaster. I mean, I just love watching games, and so I follow sports media a little bit, and yeah, I had a great time doing that. It's when you get to my age, you start to run out of hobbies that your body will allow you to do. So whenever you can pick up,
I feel you there, Jarrod.
Yeah, whenever you can pick up a new one, it's just like a real blessing. So I want to thank Braden for giving me a chance, and hopefully I'll get on another broadcast this year.
Well, hey, here's the good news. You guys and the men's team don't leave Riverside too often in the non-conference slate. So there may be a night where they're in town and you're not playing.
Yep.
Braden Bell, I'm paging Braden Bell right now. So
yeah, he knows. He's got my number. We text quite a bit, so we'll be down for that.
Awesome. Well, for Daryl, Coach Jarrod Olson, CBU women's basketball head coach. Jarrod, always a pleasure to visit here on the Straight Outta WAC podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate you guys covering the WAC. Keep doing a great job, and we'll see you guys down the road.
Have a good rest of your day, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Straight Outta WAC podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcasting platforms. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember to follow us on Twitter at WAC Hoops Digest and Facebook under WAC Hoops Digest for all your WAC Hoops news and information.